Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for joining, and hope all of you are keeping safe. Today, we've got another exciting session, or very interesting session that we present to you. It's about integrating robotic process automation plus intelligent document processing, or OCR, as you might know it more commonly, along with smart contracts, and using this combination to accelerate your digital transformation. So we hope you like the webinar. As usual, we like to keep this insights oriented and actionable. So we'll start with a quick background of what is RPA, how does it help, what is OCR, intelligent document processing, how does it go well with RPA, what are some recent advantages or advances that have been made in this field, including artificial intelligence and machine learning and processing structured, unstructured information, some of those things. We'll give you a quick background on what smart contracts are and why we think smart contracts could be a nice complement to RPA and OCR and intelligent document processing. So we'll lay out a quick, simple use case, and we'll talk from that perspective. And then, of course, as we always do, we like to keep it practical. So we'll end with a live demo of how the technologies can work with each other. So we haven't implemented an actual RPA bot, but you'll see how CaptureFast's OCR technology is integrated with Daml, how it sends data into the ledger and how the entire workflow can be driven from there, thus making the implementation of the bots also much more contextual and much more relevant to the point of arrival. If you're into technology or you're looking at obviously digital transformation, RPA is not the only tool. So how do smart contracts work with that? So with that, I'd like to quickly introduce my guest today, Gurkhan Karagoz. He's the founder and CEO of CaptureFast. Gurkhan, you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, sure. I am the founder and the CEO of the CaptureFast. CaptureFast is a data capture technology company. We are developing smart and capture text data extraction technologies, helping for big enterprise and mid-sized companies. Our technology, you will see in the demonstration, the technology is really adding a new breath in the development environment, working with RPA tools. So that's it for now. We will be talking in detail in the demonstration session.
Yeah, and CaptureFast obviously works with a lot of other popular RPA firms out there like Automation Anywhere, WorkFusion, etc., UiPath. So obviously, so it's a very complementary technology. And I am Manish Grover, as almost many of you know. I look after channels and solutions at Digital Asset. I'm on the partnerships team. I'm going to shut off the video. And Gurkhan, do you want to mind shutting off the video, because it sort of pops up this annoying thing on the right hand side for the recording. So I'm going to stop my video and I'm going to I promise you'll see more of us towards the end, but for now let's shut off the video. Okay. So, the background for all of this is that, there are islands that exist within and of course between two enterprises as well. So, there's, if you take any business process, it's comprised of different applications that support the business process, and later in the webinar, we'll see a simple business process where, a credit card company is issuing a card. So there's a new account system, there's an e-statementing system, there's a fraud detection system, there's a collection system, there's a credit authorization system, so many, customer service, applications that need to access databases. There's a preferences system. So there are multiple systems that make up any reasonably complex business process. And because of that, what happens is, generally we use different technologies to build up these applications, and we connect them through various technologies like API and middleware technologies and all that. And we often run into these challenges as business evolves, as the application portfolio evolves. You run into these issues of, there are multiple same data in different places, or different data in different places often needs to be aggregated. Workflows are not shared. You're putting, patchwork on top of stuff to integrate two applications. Different applications don't see the same metadata in the same way, and stuff like that. And because of that, there are operational inefficiencies that come up. Process breaks come up, so all of those common problems. And what happens because of that is, and RPA, robotic process automation, came up as a way to solve some of those problems for us. And it's, this is a very, cursory glance at what RPA does, but in brief, as some of you may be aware, if you have repetitive manual tasks that are happening, generally they are costly. Second, they are error prone, and they are unproductive because generally you do swivel chair operations. So what swivel chair means is you're taking input, you're putting it into one system, then you're updating the status into another system, then you're checking the status of something else in another system. Based on that, you're doing something else. So there are repetitive manual steps that are happening. And the where RPA fits in perfectly is when some of these things are difficult to remediate from a technology perspective. So many times, there is a manual process, and it's costly to automate, or it's going to be pretty complex. Maybe it's not the point of arrival architecture, so you want to move away from that application, and you're moving towards a new architecture. So what do you do in the interim? How do you solve, and how do you get those operational efficiencies out? And then your application portfolio might be evolving so rapidly that you don't want to put an expensive technology based solution behind the problem. So RPA in that case comes to the rescue. It's non-intrusive. It works with OCR. It takes all of your documents, AI based understanding of the document. It simulates the user behavior. So all of the swivel chair operations, accessing one system, doing something else in another system, looking at another system, then coming back to another system, so step-by-step things that a human does. It improves the efficiency a lot and effectiveness a lot, because those people can now focus on more value-added things, like actually improving the business process, or maybe serving the customer much faster, or serving more customer requests. So that's where RPA, the bots are implemented. And obviously, the benefit is, since you're doing it automatically, it reduces the errors. But many people also like to call it short term because of the things in the second box here. So your application may not be a point of arrival. So very soon you may get into the point of arrival architecture, in which case you don't need the bots, or you need to update the bots again. Or your application portfolio may be evolving very rapidly, in which case you need to keep updating the bots that you put in place, and you need to train the bots again. So it's evolving, and the shelf life of your bots will obviously depend on these two things. So sometimes shelf life of bots is several years, but sometimes it could be as low as a few months, or maybe up to a year. So with that, let's now discuss how OCR comes in. Gurkhan, do you want to talk about this?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Manish. OCR and RPA technologies are tied together. I know that, and we all know that RPA is looking new in the market, but it doesn't. The technology is coming from those mainframe years, and I know that there are some RPA tools, but they were not named as RPA before, coming from 30 years, 40 years. They were, as mentioned, those tools are handling the repetitive tasks mostly. And the OCR is extremely important for them, because RPA tools just change the position of the data from point A to point B. So to do so, the RPA tool needs to have the data first. So OCR technologies are helping them. As you can see in the first items, while RPA tools solving the problems of human processing, the OCR tools solving the problems of human data entry. Without any OCR technology, RPA tools will be half. So the benefits are clear. The reduction of costs are extremely important, and manual data entry, eliminating the manual data entry errors are extremely important, because the data accuracy, if the data is not well extracted from the document, the operation loses money and time. So that's why even if the OCR accuracy rates, even with the human typing accuracy rates, the data quality, the data speed is extremely important for RPA tools.
Yeah, and Gurkhan, just so some simple examples could be that, your medical assessment questionnaire that you're filling up when you go to a doctor, for example, or when you have a contract or a purchase order from in procurement or manufacturing processes. All of these are paper-based documents. So something needs to happen to get them into the system, and that's where OCR and intelligent
Yes.
document processing comes in. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. On the other hand, not the paper. The paper in the world, the usage of paper is looking decreasing, but the digital PDFs are also documents, and they also, even if the data is digitally printed on PDF files, the systems, the RPA tools, needs to understand the layout of the document. So that's why the term OCR is coming from the paper scanning. But now it replaced, it means not only taking the data from the paper, but extracting the text layer from the digital PDFs. So the invoices, purchase orders, claim documents, legal documents, now everything is based on PDF files. So the extracting the data with an OCR technology is very important to operate for the companies, for the organizations.
Got it. Okay.
For example, for the insurance companies, I can say that this is extremely important. The competition is so tough, and when you are waiting to insure something, you are sending your request by a portal, and that portal is distributing the request into multiple insurance companies. And we all know that who is accepting first, we start working with that company. So the time is more valuable than the data accuracy sometimes for insurance companies.
Got it. Yeah.
So what are those challenges? First of all, we have to be emphasized that the OCR technologies are not the same. It is not that simple. It is not as simple because we are working on analog data, and converting an analog data into digital data, there are different approaches. So all OCR technologies are not the same. You can see here the weak or inconsistent data is the main problem on OCR technologies, because you have to accept some error rates converting the paper data into digital data. So the power of OCR tool is extremely important. RPA tools are optimized on 100% digital workflows, because RPA tools are developed to replace humans. So how can you add the human in the loop? This is ironic, I know, but if you are dealing with an analog data, so there could be some help of the human, because trying to add a technology for small touches could be extremely expensive and not feasible, replacing the whole human interaction. So the second item, again, one of the important points, of variable layouts. The OCR tools are, most of them are location based, just like the legacy forms processing solutions. But today, our clients are working with hundreds of different vendors. For example, in invoice processing, they are receiving 1,000, 2,000, different thousand vendors, and each invoices are totally different layouted. On the other hand, the insurance claim documents, legal documents, hundreds of thousands of different layouts are coming with the same name as notice of hearing. So the OCR tool must understand the layout, finding the exact word anywhere in the document, just like the human brain. As a human, you just receive a document, you look at, classify it in your memory, in your brain, because you trained it before. And after that, you extract the data per the document type. Our systems are working like that. We trained the entire system with the type of thousands of different type of documents. Those system automatically classifies and then extract the required information from the document.
So, Gurkhan, so obviously there's data can be in structured form, and it can also be unstructured, right?
Yes, definitely. The analog data or the digital PDF could be structured, unstructured, non-structured, semi-structures. For example, invoices, we are naming them as semi-structured. We are going to do demonstration as a medical history document. This one also is a semi-structured. What is the meaning of semi-structured? We know structure is totally structured. You know each data in what location. We know unstructured, it's some kind of a letter. We don't know anything about this layout. But the semi is most of the documents in business world is semi-structured documents, such as the demonstration. We will show you the demonstration. Semi-structured means you're expecting some certain fields, but you don't know where that field exists, or the location or the type, such as the medical form. You will see that you must accept to receive the name. You must accept to receive insurance policy number, a social security number, but you don't know where, because everybody can use different layout, different documents. The companies, organizations, uh, facilities are using different type of formats. So that's why the OCR tool must smart enough to find the required information instead of analyzing, finding the location.
Okay, got it. And yeah, this is a slide on capture fast,
Yes.
your competitive advantages.
Yes, definitely. The information I gave till now were general problems, general challenges, general benefits of an RPA tool or an OCR tool. These are the competitive advantages of CaptureFest. In CaptureFest, here we developed a hybrid auto classification, which is totally machine learning based, but we used a totally different approach. We are not using the technology, the machine learning, deep learning technology to classify the document, but we are using the machine learning technologies to set the rules. So this approach is really increasing the classification accuracy. Why is that important? Because the machine learning technologies are mostly optimized classifying the objects in cameras, such as cats, dogs, Apple cars, pedestrians, buildings, birds. So the cameras can capture 30 frames in a second. So you can easily accept some error rates. But in document processing, you have only one document. In other words, you have only one single frame. So you cannot accept the error rate. That's why the classical machine learning approach is not working in document processing. That's why we added the hybrid. We are not using the machine learning to classify the document, but we are using the machine learning to set the rules. This one is really helpful and increases the classification accuracy. The second and third are similar. CaptureFest has an expertise on extracting the difficulties. We always name that CaptureFest is solving the unsolved problems. So if the document is easy, you can simply use any RPL tools existing primitive capture technology, but the documents are too complex. CaptureFest can easily help you. And the final bubble is also extremely important. Why RPA develops, why RPA tools are created? The answer of these final bubbles is secret in this question. Why RPA tools are developed? Because APIs are not working, because the IT departments, developers are not that fast. I know that very simple tasks or requests are waiting for months in the queue of IT departments in big organizations. So RPL tools helping them, because it is very easy. You can easily simply use the graphical user interface and complete the task. So the robots process does it. So you don't have to ask any integration help with APIs to the software developers. With the help of RPA, one single analyst can easily connect the two systems without asking any help from those two ends. Something like that. CaptureFest is also has a graphical user interface. You don't have to develop one single line code. You can easily connect the system with the help of our integration point. You will see how easy to do during our presentation.
Yeah. And, so that brings us to a good point, so there was a study done by Pega. Pega is obviously a pretty big, it's a, technology company that is also doing a lot of intelligent automation these days. They ran a survey of key, stakeholders, enterprise technology and business stakeholders, and 85% of them said that RPA is an important component of digital transformation. And that's exactly, why, that's based on what Gurkhan just said, things take time to change. And in the meanwhile, you still need to drive the operational efficiency. You still need to, look at how do you, do stuff in the absence of a appropriate technology remediation. And that's why RPA is really becoming important. But at the same time, and that's the reason we are doing this webinar today, is that RPA by itself doesn't solve all the problems. As you probably have guessed, so RPA is a surface level automation technology. It bridges two different data islands, because a bot can access both of them, and you can train a bot to access two different applications. But obviously, your underlying data islands and the underlying issues, you still need remediation to solve, or help those data islands be harmonized. Second thing is, your business processes as they are changing. RPA doesn't change it. RPA uses the existing business process, and it trains itself to execute it with little or no human effort. But there still needs to be in your digital transformation charter a way to harmonize your business process. So that's a reason. And the third one is, of course, improving your analytics and AI maturity, which is important for every enterprise today, not only for process improvement, but also to drive savings, also to drive customer experience, more contextual experiences, improving your, cross-sell and marketing efficiencies and stuff like that. So, all of these things form part of the digital transformation. And the thing is, like, how do we handle those? And smart contracts then are coming up as a way to help with some of those things, and that's why we decided to put this thing together. So what do smart contracts do? So for anyone who's familiar with Daml, or who's not familiar with Daml, essentially what smart contracts do is they provide a way for all of your applications in your enterprise technology landscape to be able to access a single, secure, universal record of truth, which means that all of the applications will see at any one point in time the same state of the business process. Contrast it with today, where different applications have their own databases, and obviously, they must keep in sync with each other in order for them to be able to see the what that state of the business process is. But there are obviously a lot of breaks that happen as you do that, as you try to reconcile data from one system to the other, as you try to send messages from one application to the other. So smart contracts sort of provide a layer between the applications, so that they can all access a single golden source of truth. So here's an example of what that looks like. So this is a virtual pipeline, right? So any application, any business process in an enterprise is composed of, say, these multiple applications that are working together. So here is a simple example of how a new credit card is approved. It's a new account system, comes in, underwriting approves it. It goes into your e-statementing systems. It also goes into your credit authorization systems. Customer service can see the new card. Payments are being made on it. Those payments are being seen by your customer service team as well, and your e-statementing team as well. And then obviously, it might go to collections where a payment is not made. So the collections team also needs a copy of the record that this customer, has been provided a new credit card. All of these applications traditionally, or many of these applications would typically report into different organizational hierarchies. So thereby they would have their own databases, own technology, own system, and they would try to interact with each other through either APIs or file transfers, or a middleware system that you send a message to the middleware, and the middleware then sends a message to the other application where their data is updated. In all cases, you've got multiple versions of truth lying all over the enterprise, and there's a significant effort which is spent in trying to align all of these data sources together, whether it's for customer service to see when a customer calls in, whether it's for the customer service to pull data from all the different systems, or if it is just to produce business intelligence reports, or do analytics on what are some of the levers that we can pull to improve the business performance. So those are some common challenges, and smart contracts provide a simple way for each of these applications to then be on the same page. So it mutualizes the business process. Everybody sees the same data that's in the smart contract store, so you avoid the issue of reconciliation, and it also maintains privacy. So you might not want your your customer service, for example, to for whatever reason you may not want your customer service to see that there has been a open fraud ticket against a customer's against a customer's card, for example. Or you may not want your e-statementing team to know that there is a open collections process underway. So in order to avoid allow all that, smart contracts provide an easy way. They maintain privacy, and they also provide a common smart contract store. Each of these applications can obviously have their logical views of the underlying data. So this is why we think that RPA plus OCR plus smart contracts may be a good combination, because they allow your bots now to access a common API instead of having to access different APIs, because your bots are becoming more intelligent now. Instead of them accessing multiple different APIs, you have a common API that is exposed by your smart contracts layer, and they don't have to do too many swivel chair operations as well. So you're progressing on your digital transformation charter while still allowing your bots to you know um, exist where they should. Where you have a need, you still have the bots, but then you're progressing along your digital transformation charter as well. So solving your data island problem, harmonize your business processes, and obviously improving your AI maturity as well. So this is what Daml looks like. Just I won't spend too much time on this, but essentially the smart contracts language has the ability to run on multiple blockchain platforms as well as multiple SQL databases, which means that you can obviously, this process that we saw, this is within an enterprise. But then tomorrow, if this company wanted to interact with an external entity, external enterprise, and if they were deploying a blockchain, between the two enterprises, then obviously this application that you develop using Daml smart contracts would seamlessly and atomically interact with the with the other network that you might be setting up. So I think those are some great benefits. And obviously Daml is fit for purpose for multi-party systems, which means that there's by default privacy between the actions that one party is taking versus the actions that the other party is taking. So by default you have privacy, and obviously you can open up the privacy, but you are able to control the privacy in a granular fashion. So with that, yeah, and feel free to ask questions. Actually, I forgot to mention that. So feel free to ask questions if you have any questions or any clarifications that you need. But I think now let's get into the demo portion. And for demo, what we've done is we've taken a simple use case, which is something that almost all of us would be familiar with, is going to a medical provider, filling out the medical questionnaire form, and then when you go the next time, looking at the document and updating the information, which almost never happens. You end up filling out the whole form again most of the times, or somebody prints out a paper form for you to update, and then that thing is fed back into the system. So we thought, let's take that simple process and model it out using smart contracts, and integrate it with this line that you see, the document processing bot. This is Capture Fast. Capture Fast is looking at these medical questionnaires, um, ingesting the data, making sense of it, and then sending it to the smart contract layer right now, and thereby kicking off the business process and being an integral part of the business process. There's a blog that we wrote on this last week, which the link will be on the last slide, and I'll also send it out in the follow-up email that we send along with the recording. So Gurkhan, do you want to take over from here and show the demo?
Yes, sure.
So I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, and probably you need to. Yes, I have the permission now. I'm sharing my entire screen. Here is the Capture Fast application. All right, I'm gonna resize a little bit. So yeah, Capture Fast is a web application. You can see we have dashboard here. With the help of dashboard and with lots of connectors, you can easily define your document types and upload the documents and extract the data. Before directly uploading the document and looking at the results, I just want to show you how easy to define a document type into the system. You can see here the document types is administration only tab. Only one administrator can define new document types into the system. You can see we have here a medical form history already defined by us. And when I click on it, you will see that we have 4 steps to complete the entire document extraction tool. The first one is adding a sample document for defining them. And the next step is looking at the adding the fields. As you can see here, everything is automatically captured and added into the system. And each label has different properties in the user interface. So with the help of advanced options, you can dive deep in the properties or some advanced options to extract the data perfectly. So the final one, not the final one, the third one is the destination. As I mentioned, we have a user interface here. We are not typing any code. We are not asking any IT help. We are just typing the connecting endpoint of the destination. In this case, in this example, our endpoint is Daml, and you will see that the URL, the API URL is here. We are defining the fields, the labels here. On the left side, you will see the fields, the tags are coming from the web service of the Daml here. And on the right side, these fields are coming from the capture phase. So you can easily click and map one by one without typing any single line of code. And after this, when you complete, when you go to the next, you can invite your users. Capture Fast is licensed per page, so it is not asking any limit on the number of users. This one is also another advantage. You can even invite your end users, so the system is not checking for the domain. Even for the free version, you can invite millions of people as the verification or the capture users. The capture users are mostly sending the documents into the system.
So who are these human verifiers? People who will see whether the data was extracted properly?
Human verifiers, the verification is very important. This is the human in the loop option. Sometimes we, especially in United States, the culture is coming from the decades of fax machines. Lots of companies are using multifunction devices, you know, those big Xerox machines, and they all have computers in it, and you can use them as the fax machine, email server, document scanning, printing, for everything. So the companies are still using the settings coming from fax machines. So the document resolutions are very low. So sometimes there is some scratch on it, some dirt on the machine. So the analog data, the scanned papers can fail extracting the entire data with 100% accuracy. At that time, adding a human just to verify the data could be helpful. You will see during the demonstration. So these verifiers can be in the company, in the organization, or anybody in the world. You can just add people and invite into the system. So let me upload the document, one document here. I am going to use one of the sample documents. I'm uploading. The upload is completed. We have lots of input channels at that point. I simply used our user interface, but we have mobile capture created by CaptureFast, or we have some APIs. Any third-party software can easily send the documents, and all the RPA tools has connectors into the system, and RPA tools are sending the documents with the help of our API. The system is processing the document. You can see it is waiting in the verification. The document is digitally created PDF file. Normally, we shouldn't verify. The system extracts the data and automatically populates in seconds. But in this demonstration, I just want to show you how easy to verify a data with the help of CaptureFast. That's why I enabled the verification. I enforced the verification for the medical history forms here. When I click the verification, the system pop-ups the the data and the image side by side. So you can easily check the data, and while if everything is perfect, you just finish and the data is going to be transferred to Daml. You can see
So
the
Gurkhan,
lines. Sorry.
just one quick question that has come up
Sure.
from the audience. It's come from Amit. What he's asking is, does it support handwritten text?
Yes, in enterprise level, we have handwritten recognition engine, but it is not scripted languages. You know, the language, the letters are connected to each other. This is the handwritten scripting letters. Our system is optimized on the separated letters.
Okay, got it.
By the way, the handwritten technologies are not developed anymore. There are some companies created handwritten recognition, such as Google Vision API, so we can easily add into the system. But these days, everything goes digital. So that's why we don't have enough clients who are asking us handwritten recognition, but it is extremely easy to add. Our technology is really open, and we have user exit technology, and these topics is not today's topic list, but we can easily arrange another private session so I can explain or I can show how I can handle the handwritten recognition.
Perfect. Thank you.
For each field, again, without typing any single line code, you can add lots of regulations. You can add regular expressions, you can add some rules, mandatory, you can force the mandatory fields. And when you type anything, when you miss anything, the system will not let you approve the document. You can see the last name is mandatory, the line is red. When you try to finish the document, the system will force you to type to extract the last name. So that's why I'm gonna retype it. And now all fields are green. I don't need to do any more control, so I can easily finish and check the documents in Daml. Now the data is extracted and transferred from CaptureFast. CaptureFast is done here. Let's go to Daml and check the data extracted in the here. This is
Yeah, so for everybody, for those of you who don't know Project Daml is a cloud environment to host Daml applications. So applications that are written in Daml can easily be hosted, out of the box actually. So just upload your Daml model, and Daml allows automatic APIs and automatic authentication and all that stuff. So it's a pretty nice platform. I'll include a link to that in the follow-up email. Yeah. So that's where this application was developed and uploaded.
yeah. As you remember, during our document type destination point, I mentioned that there is a URL, which is the API of the Daml, and the system is going to populating this web service, the SDK. And now here is the projects. And when I click on CaptureFast and the live data, here, this is
Go to the capture
the
fast. Yeah.
yes, this is the data we just extracted. You can see in JSON format on the right side. Remember the last name, Lake here.
JSON Lake. Yeah.
And the all data is taken from CaptureFast and sent to Daml in JSON format. So this is it from my side. Probably before switching to question and answers,
Yeah,
you have
there is
some
one
more
more.
slides probably.
Yeah, Gurkhan, just one more question's come up from the
Sure.
audience is, how can we add scanned reports to it? Scanned document.
Okay, the system is not looking if the document is scanned or digital. The system, when you upload any file, even if that could be a digital or scanned, the system will automatically understand and take action per the type of document type. So you don't worry about the document is scanned or PDF. You just send the file. But of course, you have to take the file, you have to scan the paper first and save into a file.
Okay, so
Because
any digital input is acceptable.
yes, anything is acceptable. The system accepts PDF files, PNG, JPEG, TIF, Word. There is no any limit in the file format.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, so I just wanted to just while you are here, Gurkhan, if you can click on deployments,
Yes.
and if you click on that capture fast, yeah, over here, click on main.daml. Yeah, so this, as everybody can see, is the Daml model. So here is the data structure in the Daml model that we expected from capture fast, which has been declared here. And then if you go down a little bit further below, scroll down a little, here you see the workflow. So it's only, I think, 60 or 70 lines of code, Daml code that were written to onboard multiple providers and be able to accept this data from capture fast, be able to approve the data, be able to give the customers access to their own medical information, which is kind of difficult today. But innovators are already working on that. So that's not the topic for us now. But it allows us to do a lot of things within 50 or 60 lines of code, smart contracts. So that's how it sort of helps us. And it obviously maintains privacy. So if you see a consumer role, the signatory is consumer and provider, which just means that a customer cannot be created without the permission of both the provider and the customer on the system. So automatic consent management, permissions management also comes out of the box. So yeah, with that, Gurkhan, I'm going to stop sharing and go to the
Sure.
screen now. Yeah, so this is the overall workflow that you just saw modeled in Daml. So this was the function API that CaptureFast was calling. But of course, all of that has already been built out. So if there's a customer, the doctor must approve the document. Before it gets populated in the system. And then obviously here is where you'll see the automatic benefits. So there's provider 2, here's another medical provider, a completely different network. If they want to request this customer's record, for example, the customer went to provider 2 and they want to leave provider 1, and they want to take all the medical records with them, it becomes it's a pretty complicated and costly process for us to do that. So in Daml, you can just model provider 2 as a party. You can create a workflow where you create a request, the customer approves the request, and then you'll request provider 1 to transfer the record, and the record is automatically transferred to provider 2. And optionally, if that's how you want the system to be, provider 1 does not have access anymore to that information from the customer. So you can obviously meet all of those privacy confidentiality requirements as well. So all of this was modeled out in that simple Daml. But that's how RPA, OCR, and smart contracts can work together. And obviously now you can put a lot of, you can still implement RPA technology, but now, backed by this nice, business process that has been developed, and that is sort of spanning all of these different systems that could be implemented at any medical provider. It makes your bots much more efficient, and it also makes them easily auditable as well, because whenever they take an action, it can be logged onto the ledger, the smart contract ledger, which means that now you have an immutable record of how the bot functioned, or what actions did they take, obviously. So it's good from a compliance perspective as well. So I think okay, so I think that brings us to the end. So as we promised, oh, one second, there's another question. Let me, Gurkhan, can you see the question that came up? Because
Yes, I see. Rohit's question, can you explain a bit more project double conception? Is that one?
okay, yeah, good. So yeah, I couldn't see it because when I'm sharing, for some reason, Zoom doesn't let
Oh,
me
okay,
finish
okay.
when
Then let me complete the question then.
yeah.
Can you explain a bit more project double consumption and how smart contract can leverage it? How users, doctors, patient, provider, can use this JSON provided by system just demoed?
Yeah, exactly. So Project Dabble is the cloud environment for Daml. So you saw the workflow, this workflow that we developed in Daml. This workflow is then uploaded to Project Dabble. It automatically gives you, the ability to expose. It automatically exposes all of the Daml API, and you can also host your front end, user front end on the on Daml, on Project Dabble. So what it does is it gives you a very quick, fast time to market to take your Daml model, take your workflow, take your business application, and deploy it without having to worry about all of the other infrastructural complexities that you might come up. How to host it, performance, security, authentication, all of that stuff is automatically taken care by Project Daml. So that, I think, is what Project Daml does, and I'll include a link in the follow-up email that I send out. The other question was, how do you go for adoption? That's where I think some of these properties of Daml help. So, your Daml application is deployed on Project Daml right here. You can either choose to onboard everybody to the same ledger, or if there are different providers who want to use the Daml application, but they want to deploy it on their own ledgers or their own networks, but you still want to be able to provide a connectivity or an interoperability between those two networks, that's also possible. So in the ideal case, of course, not every medical provider is going to, incur the overhead of, trying to set up their own network. They will probably just outsource that infrastructure management to someone and trust, like Amazon, for example, or Microsoft. So you could deploy this on Amazon or Microsoft Cloud. People are pretty happy with that, and then you run your application on top of it. So that's what Project Daml allows you to do. Gives you a completely managed environment for your Daml applications.
Manish, we have another question. Kona says, asking, can we rule out medical legal cases?
I'm sorry.
So can we rule out medical legal cases? I'm not sure about medical legal, but of course we can rule out anything if we define in the flow.
Yeah, can we rule out medical legal cases? I'm not sure we understand the question, Kona. So if you want to clarify it. I think if you're looking at decisions based on the data that is being captured, automatic decisions, you can definitely write a smart contract that automatically executes when something is encountered, and it can filter the data or move the workflow along in the right way. So that's definitely possible. I'm sure Capture Fast can do certain rule-based action as well. Gurkhan, when you extract the data, can you make some data? Can you make some decisions based on the data that you're capturing?
Yes, of course, we can do. We can add fields, or we can add some AI to make decisions. We have a simple workflow in Capture Fast, and according to the extracted data, we can forward we can change the destination point. Yes, yeah, that's possible.
Yeah. And I think there's another question on what if a doctor does a wrong treatment. So obviously, this workflow is not intended to do that, but obviously you can build out a complete workflow in smart contracts, and you could integrate that with any existing hospital management system as well on what happens, in that case, when an incorrect treatment was done, what are the rules, what should the workflow look like? So obviously, it doesn't limit you, the workflow doesn't limit you at all to implement whichever business use case you might want to. Okay, perfect. So I think that brings us to the end of the questions, and we just wanted to show you this. So if you want to get in touch with Gurkhan, obviously gurkhan@capturefast.com. Definitely read this blog. It'll come out in the presentation. I'll also send you in the follow-up email how Daml can complement robotic process automation. So that will explain the workflow that we just discussed in a little bit more detail. You can watch a demo on YouTube, actual Capture Fast demo. And then, of course, if you have more questions about Daml, then definitely join the community on discuss.daml.com, and download the Daml SDK also at docs.daml.com. So with that, I think there are no more questions, and we are at the end of our webinar. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, there's just one more question that popped up. Kona saying thank you. Thank you, Kona. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. So.
Thank you, Manish. You arranged this webinar, and it was wonderful for us. And thank you, everybody, joining us today. Talk to you again.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Bye.